Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another stream with Swaggle Haas. It's Thursday. It's late night. Figured I'd turn on the camera and hang out a little bit, do a little Q&A, a little impromptu comic book talk. No real plan tonight. Nothing really on the agenda, although I did prepare a couple little topic things and just kind of want to talk about things. What's going on? What's going on in the comic book market? What's going on with on your guys' minds? Talk about maybe some books that I've picked up kind of recently. Maybe we need to talk a little more about the CGC label thing. I feel like that's a topic that still needs to be addressed, because one of the funny things about that is, obviously you guys probably know, last week we had the CGC label controversy, and kind of like the market does, everyone goes crazy, for 1 or 2 days, and then we all forget about it. I mean, that's just human nature. That's just the state of the media world and everything like that. But I kind of feel like we probably shouldn't let that one go. I think CGC was supposed to, there were some rumors that they were going to comment on stuff. Maybe there has been a statement. Let me know, guys, if you've seen a statement or something like that. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's up to me. Maybe it's up to me and other YouTubers to make more videos about this, so we can continue to have this conversation and say, hey, CGC, we're not letting you guys off the hook with this one. We gotta figure this thing out. I would at least love to hear their rationale behind some of the decisions that they're making and things like that, and get more insight into it, not let it kind of slide under the rug. So we can kind of talk about that. Maybe I could go over my video. There's a lot of people who posted really good comments, and I haven't responded to a lot of them. I feel like maybe I can go through and we can look at some of the comments. What else could we talk about here? There's a Comic Connect link or auction that's going on right now. I thought maybe that'd be interesting. We can look at some of those stuff, because we've been having some videos on the channel. We've been talking about the market and how some of the prices are kind of leveling off. And there's some big boy books in that Comic Connect auction. And I'm really curious if those books are going to be hitting, some of the fair market values and the prices. I mean, I think that they will. I think, for the most part, some of the mega grails and the mega keys are always going to be desired. And the people who have the means to be spending that type of money anyways are just going to be spending that type of money anyways, right? So they're going to be able to hit those market values. It only takes 2 people to bid stuff up against each other in order for the book to hit that value. But it will also be kind of interesting, to see where those things land. The auction ends in 5 days, so I got a watch list going. Maybe we can look through the watch list and see what's going on there. But let me check in with a chat here. Some people showed up, so that's pretty cool. It's always nice to see some faces in the chat. Anthony, what's going on, man? Well, Swaggle me Haas. Anthony, good to see you, man. Gonna go take a nap and be back when the Haas is live. Well, we're live now, so maybe you'll come back. We got Palace Jerry here. Let's go. What up, Swag? What up, Palace Jerry? Good to see you, man. Gorilla Todd Comics. Hello. Oh, hey, Gorilla. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Logan, what's up? What's going on, Logan? Aiden in the house. What up, Aiden? Good to see you, man. Oh, Cam, we got Cam in the house. What's good, homie? I'll never forget. I don't even know what that's in reference to. Let's see here. Guardsy in the house, man. What's going on, Guardsy? What's going on, all? Niagara Falls Comic-Con this weekend. Woo, looking to pick up some new books. Oh, nice, Guardsy. Okay, well, what are you looking for? What's on your comic book con hunting list? I feel like this is the other thing too. We're talking about the market. I don't know about you guys, depending on when you've been to a show recently, but it's I still kind of feel like dealers, for me, when I price books, when we look at the values of the books, I think obviously there's all the fair market value things like GPA and Go Collect and all those things, but that really eBay is where it's at, right? When we're talking about what is a book selling for on your average day, eBay is really the place to kind of check those sort of prices. And I gotta say, I feel like the dealers haven't reset their prices from where they were or to where they are now with what's going on in eBay. So the cons are tricky. I feel like the cons are tricky. I mean, there's always going to be good deals, and there's tons of vendors, and every vendor is totally different. But last couple of cons I went to, depending on which vendor you're at, the prices I feel like are still kind of marked at that boom cycle period. But let me know what books you're picking up. Logan, I got some questions, Swag. Haha. All right, Logan, fire away. I mean, there's no plan here. There's no plan. We're just doing Q&A. We're just hanging out. We're just talking comic books and stuff. Just continuing with the chat here. Director of Awesome. Hey, Swag. Love the content. Got a question. I almost never hear about anyone having CGC handle pressing. Is there a reason everyone outsources? Thanks, brother. Yeah, Director of Awesome. This is a good question. And I'm sure there's many people in the chat that can talk about this. But one of the things I can say right now is like, so I actually have an order at CGC that I did a signing for. It was like a year ago. I have a video on this channel, and I sent that in like last summer, and it is still sitting at CCS waiting to be pressed and cleaned. CCS is the arm of CGC that does that pressing and cleaning. The problem with using their pressing services to do it is that the turnaround times and the wait times for their service are so astronomically long that like it's almost just not worth your effort to go through them to do it. Like you would be much better off to find a local presser, a local cleaner to just do the job for you. They can turn it around in a couple of weeks, and then you can send it to CGC to be graded, and that'll shave off like literal months of your time, like 6 months of your time. So that's why a lot of people don't use that service. I happen to use that service because I got books signed. I bought them at the show, got them signed at the show, and turned them into CGC with verified signature at the show. So they weren't pressed, and I wanted them to be pressed. So CCS was my only option in that sense. So I think that that's really why people mostly choose to not use them. I got on the call with the guys asking them like, what's the deal with my books? Like when are they going to be showing up? And they're just like so backed up there. Like the what do you call it? The person who was like fielding my call was like, oh yeah, like, you know, they're trying to hire more people and they only have 4 pressers. And I mean, it's like, they only have 4 pressers, like 4 pressers. I feel like this is like, you know, I don't know how many employees CGC has, but I'm like 4 pressers feels like you guys should be able to get more than 4 pressers. Right. So I don't know. They're just totally backed up. It's just not really as efficient to go through them. Now, as far as the quality of their work, I have no idea. I would actually think that you would think that when CCS presses a book and they send it off to then get grading, they should make a marker to the grader like, hey, CCS did this. So, you know, put in the good grade for our services here. Like you would hope that you get that 0.5 bonus bump by using CCS in order to promote the quality of their service, but you never really know. Zach in the house, what's going on, Zach? Window shopping sounds like fun. Yeah, window shopping. We can totally do the window shopping on the auction. So we can totally do that. You guys can see what I'm looking at here. Gorilla Todd, too many horror stories with CGC pressing. Yeah, like I'm sure you guys in the chat could discuss it too. Like again, I have, you know, so many situations where I've done stuff with CGC. This is my first CCS pressing. It's taken a year. I don't know what the results are going to be, but I'm sure other people have a lot of other stories. Bandits here. I dig your content, man. Keep it up. Thanks, Bandits. Appreciate that. Fight the good fight. What's going on, man? What up, Swag? Resiner, what's up, Swag? What's going on? What's going on, Resiner? Logan, I don't get the auctions. How do you know when the book you're looking for auction starts? Oh, well, you know, we can kind of, I'll show you a little thing. I mean, you know, you have these services, right, that are the different services. You've probably heard like heritage auctions, things like that. You've probably heard like Comic Link and Comic Connect. They're just these auctions that are these specific websites that are, you know, big vendors that have these, they organize them like every couple of months or so. So really you just have to go to their websites. Like, so for instance, this one right here is Comic Connect, and their auction went live, I think 20 days ago, meaning like the auction's live, you can bid on it now, and the auction won't end for another month. So they just sort of pool together all these books. Like if you're someone who had like an AF-15 and you were like, I want to sell it, I'm going to consign it through Comic Connect, you'd send it to them. They put together a bunch of big books. They're going to advertise it. They're going to email blast. Comic Connect's going to shoot it off to all their buyers, previous buyers, and they're going to talk about it. And then eventually it's all going to end within the same weekly period so that all the buyers are like, you know, it's like a marketing thing, right? Everybody is like paying attention to when it ends. So this one right here is the Comic Connect one, and it ends in 4 days. So we can take a look at that one later if we want to talk about some of the books on there, because there's some big boy books for sure, and we'll see what they sell for. Bell Bottom Brews, Batman 181. Batman 181. I don't know what the context to that statement is, but yeah, it's a great book. Max Dalton, what's up? Love the channel and the economic slant you take on the comic industry. Much appreciated. Thanks, Max. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm into like the whole, you know, comics and numbers and stuff. And, sometimes people don't love like the investing talk about it, but really to me, it's like, I talk about the numbers so that we as buyers can be educated in that sense. Gorilla Top Brother, prices seem really up there at the last few shows I've been to. Yeah. That was kind of my feeling too, Gorilla. I mean, they definitely seem like they're lagging behind on the eBay prices. And Swag, I think we hit the same shows. Oh yeah, are you SoCal? If you're SoCal, like we definitely have been in the same shows, but it could just be all the vendors across the country. Looking for Hulk 449. Ooh, that's a good book. That's actually one that I myself would love a Hulk 449, but I don't know what it is. I just never find it. Like, you guys have those books where it's like there's certain keys I come across all the time for whatever reason. And there's certain keys I just never seen in the wild. It's not that they're rare. It's just whatever the reason is, the book is just, it hates me. It doesn't want to find me. Vinny, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Vancouver Comic Junkie, what's going on, man? Hey, Swag. Good to see you here. Sincerely appreciate it. Holy cow, amazing answer. Thank you. Yeah. No problem, director. Yeah, that's at least my understanding of why people would or wouldn't want to use CCS. But as far as the quality, again, I actually have no idea. I mean, are they better than, there's probably like better pressers that like people go to like individually, and CCS, it's like, it's just a company. So you don't actually know who the presser is going to be versus like, I want Billy to press my, Billy is the guy. I know I'm going to get Billy, it's like that sort of thing. Jay the Collector, howdy peeps. What's going on, Jay? El Burwell, what's going on, man? This is past my bedtime for a Thursday. Yeah. We got that late night stream. We got the late night stream. I feel like we got the purple vibes in here. Might get a little, PG-13. I don't know. But this is just the time I was available to hop in. I just kind of felt like firing up the stream. Except the longer the books sit there, the greater the chance the book's being damaged. Yeah, that's a great point, Gorilla. And actually, Vancouver, I know Vancouver's in the chat, and Vancouver can talk about this. And Newbie, if you guys know Newbie, they talk about this all the time, where it's like, imagine, you're sending in your books and you put in a bunch of effort to get them to like a certain, presentable amount of level or whatever. And they're sitting there in Florida. I'm sure they're in like a cool room, but like, you don't know, like they're sitting on stacks and stacks of each other. There could be like, the weight of the binding could be starting to get pressed down on stuff. And if they're there for a year, like literally, like I just think my books are literally no one's touched them for a year. They're just sitting there waiting to be pressed or waiting to be graded. It can definitely hurt if it's taken that long. How does CCS have 4 pressers? No wonder we're taking about you. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, look, again, maybe CGC is they've outgrown their importance to the hobby, or like they're so important to the hobby and they're so big, but like really, like, I mean, what kind of numbers are they really doing? Like, what kind of numbers is that business really doing? I mean, maybe they're clearing like, I don't know, 10 figures like a year and stuff, but like, is that enough to like have hundreds of employees? I'm not totally sure. But 4 pressers felt like, come on, 4 pressers. Like, it seems like if you're like the biggest pressing service, you should be able to have like an army of pressers with like massive machine. Like, it should be a factory, a warehouse of this stuff getting done. RMS Collects. Hi there. Saw you on A1 Comics live sale. They're actually my LCS. Oh, nice. That's really awesome. I got my Avengers one from A1. So my A1 comic book is from A1 Comic Books. And yeah, they're in Sacramento. I'm originally from the Bay Area. I love going to the LCSs in the Bay Area, but they're in Sac. I would love to be able to go out more to A1 and hunt at their actual shop, but I just never find myself in Sacramento. Michael Afton, hey Swag, Avery Comics is the place to get books pressed. Avery Comics. Yeah, I actually think I might have heard of Avery Comics. I follow like a bunch of the pressers, but like I just never, you guys know, I don't grade too many books. So it's like, I haven't had to like constantly send or find that presser that's like, hey, you need to be my guy. But Avery, definitely go check him out, guys, if you can find him. Pals Jerry, great video about the state of the market and Spec with the new MCU movies and shows and how they affected. I think Thread will continue with the current state of the economy. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's like kind of fun to make videos where, look, again, when I'm just doing the video content, I'm just talking about kind of what I'm thinking about anyways. And I feel like you guys are probably thinking about the stuff too. Like, we're all in this collecting thing. It's all, the hobby takes some money. We probably all are thinking about the economy as well. So it's always nice to kind of talk about both ends of the spectrum in that sense. And yeah, I always try to add a little bit of facetiousness and humor to like how I talk about, the economy and stuff like that. Jenny's comments like, just here eating ice cream, watching my favorite YouTuber. Oh, hey, Jenny's. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming by, or ma'am. And yeah, what kind of ice cream are you eating? I had one a little bit earlier before I got on the stream. Mike Lofton, that is what if heard anyway is going to try him soon. Oh, okay. Right. Vancouver here. Yeah, we're responding to your point. Ronnie here. Is it worth CGCing mini comic books? Combo Man. CGCing mini comic books? I don't know too much about that specific subset. Do you guys know? Anyone in the chat know about the mini comic book game? I mean, it feels like if it's a collectible that people want to own, they're going to want to have it slapped in some way, whether it's a card, comic, video games now, VHSs now. I mean, that's a whole other discussion if you think it's valuable in that sense, but like people like to have their stuff graded, even if it's a mini comic. Love these late night comic chats. Oh, thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's just fun to hang out, nothing too special here. When's the next live sale, brother? Oh man. I mean, Jay, I gotta pad up the inventory a little bit. I went through some of the books that I felt like, okay, I can move on with some of these, but right now I was looking at my bins and stuff. I'm like, but I like everything I have right now. I don't know. We'll probably have one again, maybe in like another month or two. I'm in Vegas, but I make it to SoCal. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'd like to go to Vegas more too and check out some of the stores. There are a couple cool stores in Vegas that I've been to. It's been a little while since I've been out there though. I still think Whatnot is digging into eBay sales in a big way, which isn't helping the lagging sales there recently. Yeah, that's a great point. I do think that Whatnot has changed the market conditions a lot. It definitely feels like there's a lot of eyes and traffic there. And it's interesting though, because like, are people because like on eBay, my assumption is that when you're buying those books, like you, the buyer, are targeting books on eBay. Whereas on Whatnot, I mean, are you really targeting stuff or is it sort of like, hey, whatever the person is selling today, yeah, cool, I like that book and I'll buy it. So I wonder if people's budgets, it's like almost like opposite of like the video I made, put out today, where it was like, I was talking about like focus on what you want to buy and just go after that thing. Or maybe a lot of people are just sort of buying, what's on Whatnot. I don't know, but it definitely feels like it has affected at least the eBay sales, especially. Just saw a Ms. Marvel commercial today. Didn't realize it comes out next week. Is there not that much hype? Yeah, Car, that's a good point. I don't know if there's that much hype for Ms. Marvel. I'm sure like as we get to next week, because like Disney right now is hyping Obi-Wan. And actually this is really interesting because I don't think they've ever had a Disney Plus show compete, because we're still going to be with Obi-Wan episodes while Ms. Marvel is out. So, excuse me, maybe their marketing department is a little tied in that sense, but I'm sure there's going to be a big push next week for Ms. Marvel. But I don't know. I think a lot of people have already stated that show is going to be more towards like a youthful audience. And I don't know as it pertains to like comic collecting and stuff. When I made that video, when the trailer had come out, I was like, yeah, I don't know if like people our age-ish are going to be FOMO buying into Ms. Marvel. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to watch all this stuff. And, I enjoy the universe, but like, I'm sure, look, I'll tell you, I don't enjoy every Marvel property that comes out. That's for sure. What's your thoughts on buying higher grade near mint raw books that if you spent an extra 100 to 150 bucks, you'd get a 9496 slab? So you're saying like, if I wanted to get a more copper or modern book, going after a raw near mint versus going after the slab itself. I mean, if I'm reading that correctly, I mean, I think it's like, I personally, this is my personal preference. I would always rather buy a raw comic book because if I can save some money, I'll choose to save some money. And then if I want to get it graded, I can figure that thing out. But to me, it's like, there's also the flip side of it where it's like, if I know that I want, say, a certain grade, like if I know that I want a 9.8, like maybe it's not worth it to chase this raw book that's a near mint and like I think it's a 9.8, and yeah, maybe I can get it for 150 less, but if I know it's the book I want, I just really want the book, maybe I should just buy the 9.8. So I think it just sort of depends. It's kind of case by case in that sense. Next con you're attending. I think I'm going to maybe go to San Diego Comic-Con. That's coming up soon. I need to make some plans for that, but that's kind of local to me. So I'll probably go to San Diego. And then the big one, Drew from Como Comic Books keeps telling me I need to make it out to C2E2. We'll see. I think that if I can do a trip, I've always wanted to go out to like Chicago, want to go to Toronto, see some place over there. So maybe I can combo it as like a little mini vacay, but definitely San Diego Comic-Con. Oh, I will go to Torpedo Con as well. Torpedo Con is in July. And then there's that Near Mint Sunday. So I'll probably go to that too. So basically everything that's local. The difference in humidity from where the press was done compared to Florida alone is going to ruin a lot of presses as they sit too long at CGC. Yeah, like I've heard, Chris, you talk about that before. And this is to the point of what we're saying, when you send your books into CGC, they just sit there. If you got it, especially if you got it pressed pressed beforehand, I feel like depending on like the kind of book, like you got to fast track that thing. Cause like if you don't want it sitting in the warehouse, if you're trying to get the best grade possible, you don't want the heat to kind of like warp it all up. I wonder if they only have 4 pressers. You would think that they could have more than one going at a time. Yeah. I mean, I think look, I don't know. This is just me calling the person on the phone and this is what they said to me. But I think that like, he's like, we're trying to train people. It's just hard to train pressers and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's not, I'm sure that they themselves want to expand, but it also seems pretty crazy that they only have 4 presses. Like, I mean, their pressing service has been in business for at least like, 5 years now. So they've only had four pressers the whole time. Seems kind of crazy. Hey, my comic planet for this with a super chat, $5. Thanks, my comic planet. Hey, Swag, when you sell on eBay, do you only use auction or buy now? I feel like these days, if you want your book to sell, you have to do auction. That's a good question. I personally only do buy it now, and I always have best offer. That's kind of how I want to do it, because I think you're right. The benefit of doing an auction is that in 7 days, it's going to end and someone is going to buy it. Like, so you will 100% move the book. So I think if the goal is, it's like, look, I want the cash now, right now on this book, then by all means, just do the 7-day auction. For me, it's like, I can wait. Usually with the books that I'm selling, I don't need to sell it like in a week. So I'm happy to just list it at a buy it now with the best offer. And then if someone shoots me an offer and I just sort of feel like accepting, then yeah, I'll just accept it. So that's my personal feeling on that one. Let's see here. Chris, Creative, what's going on, man? I bought FF28, FF Tangles with X-Men. Any thoughts on that book? Yeah, I mean, look, I think anytime you get an FF book underneath 100, I mean, like maybe you can even bump underneath to like 140. All those books are great. I also do think that the meetup books for sure have some value in them. I mean, it's very, very exciting moment. We will 100% at some point in the future have a moment in a movie when the Fantastic Four come across X-Men, and then that book is going to be the focus of the entire community. So I think that's a great book. I know the cover. I think the cover is great. And honestly, all FF books underneath like 100 is like, to me, they're just awesome. It's classic Kirby. I actually had I made that poll on my channel because I was thinking about doing a video about covers in general or something. And I just wanted to get some people's thoughts. And I said, what has the best Silver Age covers? And I didn't give FF as an option, but a lot of people were like, FF is the answer, even though it's not one of the options. Matthew, what's going on? Damn, Vinny, I used to love Charleston. Oh, okay. Just good to you guys talking together here. Let's see what's up. A1 had their winter collection on sale last night. They weren't moving too much versus the other sales. Yeah. I mean, I actually had tuned in, Jay, to that as well. And yeah, I think they had some sales, but again, it's kind of like what I was saying, where it's like, things don't move as fast, I think, in this market right now. And I don't think it is exclusive to comics. I think it's just the state of the market in every aspect. But for sure, like it definitely seems like it's not going to move. I think that'll change though. Because one of the things I think about too is like with the MCU and the hype and all this stuff, I think we're going to go this like spec economy, the spec market that we're in, I think is going to go in cycles of the phases of the MCU. Like remember, and look, I wasn't even collecting comic books in 2013, 2014. Like I was out of the hobby at that point. But like even as an MCU fan, like we got like Avengers 1, it was amazing. And then we got into like phase 2. And yeah, Winter Soldier was cool and Guardians was cool, but there were some like, you know, stinkers in there. Thor Dark World, Iron Man 3, you know, Age of Ultron wasn't even that good. And I felt like at that time, you know, people were like, you know, MCU. And then you get to like Infinity War and people are like, oh shit, you know, it's like we're back up to that level of hype. So I think that flow in MCU is going to have a factor as well. Like when we get to wherever we're going with like an Avengers movie and Secret Wars and stuff, not only will the anticipation of that film like blossom a new boom of comic book collecting, but the aftermath too. I think part of the boom after in 2020 to 2021 still comes off the heels of the fact that people thought the saga of Endgame was so good. What's up, Matt? Don't know the answer or don't know what that was referring to. I did spend all of my stimulus check on comic books and toys. Hey, man, that's nothing wrong. You're not the only person. I probably ended up doing that as well. Let's see here. Just kind of looking at the chat. What is a mini comic book? I think it's a mini comic book, apparently. I don't know. Someone else can chime in here. Let me see here. Zach says, I can't buy on Whatnot anymore. It's all too random, and the books I want always seem to go over eBay prices. Yeah, I kind of feel you, Zach. I mean, I've only bought 2 things on Whatnot, but both of them were in very low stress environments, you know, where there was only like 10 people in there. It's just too hard. I think the Whatnot, it happens too fast. It's too hard to do the research, and you can definitely get steals for sure. But at the same time, I don't know. Like it's also hard, like, you know, buying even in claim sales, which I actually do buy in claim sales, but like at least in the claim sales, you can get a sense of like, okay, where the buy it now prices are. Whereas like in the auction, it's hard to know like where it's going to end, you know? So I think the auction just makes it really tough. Tishu, very envious of your wall. Several books still on my hunt list. How goes your Avengers run? Oh, thanks, Tishu. Yeah. The wall's looking pretty good. Yeah. You know, I'm happy with it. You know, it's always a work in progress. The Avengers run is good. I'm 60% done. Let me see. Actually, got to pull up the CLZ because I always keep tabs on this in the collection. Avengers 67. So yeah, I have about 32 books left of my 100, right? So and I've gotten all the major keys. So I'm doing pretty good. Now it's really a matter of time of just like buying the ones. And I kind of have like this thing for myself, like it's not that I haven't found a lot of the fillers that I need. I just need to get them at prices that I feel like are the lowest I've ever seen. So like if it's a random run filler, I don't want to pay more than $20. And it's not to say that they have to be like near mint copies. Like I just don't want to pay more than $20. So I can find run fillers at 25, 30 all day, but I want to find them for like 12, you know? So it's going good though. And I've been thinking about like how I want to finish it out. You know, I definitely know like when I finish it, like what the video will be in the ceremony and stuff, and we'll talk about it and stuff. But yeah, I'm getting there. Maybe sometime this year, I feel like I'll finish it for sure. Let's see. I think some of the early MS Marvel came in describing it as very different from what you expect. Yeah, Miss Marvel. Yeah, I think it's more for a youthful audience, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think what's going to happen is as Marvel continues to broaden their catalog, you know, they're thinking of it as like more of a catalog. Before it's been like one stream, right? Where it's like we, the audience, follow along this, you know, film path, but them, it's like more of a catalog. We are a business, an industry. We need to have a show that is for the 10 to 15 audience. We need to have a show that's for the 15 to 20. We need to have a show that's for 21 and up. We need to have one for the movie going audience. We need to have one for hell, you know, maybe Marvel one day is going to make like Snapchat content. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the business conversations that they're having because they need to think about their business as a catalog. And I think Ms. Marvel is going to be the first that's like clearly like this is for a younger demographic. Is it just me or are there too many key books right now? Seems like everything is a key book. Well, yeah, this is a good point too. I mean, the thing is this is like, I think there's a distinction, right? Because key books can still be key books, but that doesn't mean that they have to be valuable, right? Because like, it's like well, what definition do we want to use? Because the key book can be described as like a key thing that happens, or a key book can be described as a book that's valuable. I think Key Collector, for instance, the app often uses key as like, this is a key book that happens. And the implication is that it's valuable, but it doesn't actually mean that the book has to be valuable. So I think there's a balance of that. And it is like, I do think that the term key comic book gets overblown for sure. But I do think it's also fair to be like, yeah, this is just like the first book where, you know, I don't like, they take up the name Shadow Cat. You know, it's okay to still call it like a key book in that sense, because there's a key moment that happens. But, you know, it's sort of like a pejorative term in this sense. And like people think key is now more of a valuable thing. So I don't know. It does get overused in that sense as well. What not sucks? Sorry. It feels like a pyramid scheme to me. Folks that are in pump it endlessly, get free books, etc. Buyers overpay, bigger channels, now sellers sell in the void, lol pass. I mean, I think like you can feel like that way. I think that there are people who probably pump up their books and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I don't think every seller is trying to do that. But also just for me personally, it's hard to buy on Whatnot, because it's just like, it's just hard to like, I like to do my research when I buy the books, and I just don't want to feel rushed into having to buy something. For the good question, like you, I also live in Southern California. Just curious, do you have a system in place to do a grab and go of your prize comics in case you had a bug out in a hurry in case of forest fire? Fight the good fight. This is a good question, because I'm in the valley. I don't know where you are in LA, but like we've definitely had some big fires. Not so close to my house, but enough to where it's like, oh, we better have a kit. Look, have I prepped something? No, I've been slacking. I haven't been prepping. I don't know. I tell my wife, I tell Mrs. Swag, I'm like, look, if anything happens, just grab the top row. Just as much of the top row as possible. Grab the top row and run out. So I don't have a contingency plan. I probably should have a contingency plan. Let me know if you think of anything good. You know, you just have to prioritize. You just have to prioritize. I feel like this can only grab, you know, I don't know, 13 bucks on each hand, 25 bucks. Got to have your top 25. Look up Combo Man on Key Collector. Combo Man. Okay, I'll look up Combo Man. By the way, I do like the first run of Call Ms. Marvel. I'm quietly hyped about the show, hoping it's good. 42-year-old dudes don't usually get into Ms. Marvel, but I thought it was a cool series. Yeah, actually, I've heard that the series is actually not too bad either. I haven't personally read it. I mean, look, I'm totally down to watch the show, and I hope I'm surprised. Like, I can definitely like a lot of younger audience things. Jen slid right past my greeting. Very swag. What's going on? Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Got here more in time. What's going on? Art chemist. Let's see. Can't get my MyLights in Kentucky. I can't get MyLights in Kentucky. Is available where you're at? No, they're not available where I'm at. At least in terms of like, I've always been able to go to my LCS and just pick them up, and they always have them in stock, and they do not have them in stock. At least the last handful of times that I've been there. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. The MyLight, the supply chain is really hurting the MyLight, and I'm lucky that I have just enough to like do the Silver Age books that I want, but I'm definitely getting low, and so I'm like kind of concerned that I won't be able to have all my nice Silver Age books in MyLight. Dan De La Torre, what's going on, man? Getting late here. Good to see everyone. Yeah, getting late night stream. Just decided to fire it up. So you know, we're just hanging out, but good to see you, Dan. Early reviews have been really good around for Ms. Marvel. Could be one of the shows that has books pop off during or after the show. Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, that would actually be a refreshing thing to have happen, where it's like the book kind of like, you remember, like this is what I think is so interesting. Remember WandaVision, guys? Remember like books would pop like during the week or after the week, like White Vision or Agatha All Along and stuff like that. It would be kind of refreshing for the books to pop after an episode versus like the week leading into the show. I guess maybe a couple of Moon Knight books kind of followed that, but like the Scarlet Scarab one kind of had like a little 15 minutes of fame, but that I guess kind of has to do with the fact that like nobody knew that was coming. So, you know, people are always going to hop on that stuff after the fact. Let's see here. I lost my place. Just going through, guys. Lost the chat, guys. Lost the chat. Jerry Wallace in the chat. What's going on, Jerry? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Since Heritage seems to get the highest sales in the market, I've been debating on taking some of my big books and doing consignment with Heritage. You know anyone that has done that? I think that Ryan, Automatic Comics, has done that with Heritage. I don't know. Is anyone in the chat that has used Heritage? I personally have never consigned with them. I don't know what they offer as far as their thing. I do think that you're right in the sense that, like, at least for me, when I think of Heritage, I think of them as the biggest brand as far as like auction houses are concerned. So to me, I feel like maybe Heritage has the most eyes on it, and therefore has the best chance to set record prices. But I don't know. I mean, I think the other auction houses like Comic Connect and Comic Link have had record sales as well. But definitely feels like Heritage is the biggest brand name for sure. When you were in the Bay, where was your spot? I'm in San Rafael looking for good LCS. Oh, David, you got to go. Well, you got to get yourself to the southern. So what are it called? You got to get yourself more to like the San Jose area. There's a few different shops there. There's Heroes and Champions. There's another one called Heroes. They're like sister stores. So Heroes and Champions, I think it's like in Sunnyvale. Heroes, more San Jose area. Those two LCS. There's a couple other LCSs around those that are also pretty good, but those are the two that I always go to when I'm in the Bay Area. And then there's one in Los Gatos called Bronze Age Batcave. They'll do a lot of Instagram live sales, but that's also a great shop too, especially if you can go there and then you can see all their books. So Bronze Age Batcave, Heroes, and Champions. Those are the three. I would, if you could get to San Jose area, those are the three that I would definitely recommend checking out. Heritage, got to net out buyer premium, seller commission, and the Magic Canada may or may not appear. Yeah, that's always a factor for sure. The commissions and stuff. Swag, what do you think of warehouse fine of FF48? How would they affect the values? That's a good point. I think it will affect the values some, for sure. The thing I think is interesting is that Fantastic 448, I'm not saying that this is like what the amount of copies exist, but as far as like key comic books that exist in the Silver Age, that is the highest census key comic book that exists. I think the second one after that would be like Iron Man #1, which is why I always refer to Iron Man #1 as like a good sort of benchmark book to like understand the state of the comic book market, because of the fact that like there's a lot of copies out there and things like that. I think it's always going to be a great book. I think there is a higher census for it, but at the same time, the census for it is lower than that of like Bronze Age books. So if we feel like Silver Surfer is just as popular as Moon Knight or Punisher, or maybe not Wolverine, but you know what I mean? Like characters that came out then, Ghost Rider, like certainly their book is going to be able to command whatever sort of values those books command. And those books seem to be commanding pretty premium values. So I think that FF48 will always be okay, even though it has a higher census count. Now, the question is, like, when I look at FF48 and I look at Black Panther or FF52, like, to me, that's where I always make the argument that I think that FF42, First Black Panther, is one of the, no, I'll just say it. I think it's the most undervalued book in the market because they came out at the same time. You look at the census counts, you evaluate tiers of character, and I think it's a really good opportunity. But FF48, amazing book as well. I think it'll be fine. Higher census, yes, but still lower than Bronze Age census. Vancouver Chris, with you guys. Yep. My friend owns a comic shop, and I bought a copy of the Amazing Spider-Man 300 first full appearance of Venom newsstand edition from him for $700. It was expensive, but worth it. Dude, that's a great pickup. I mean, I don't know what grade you have it in, but like, honestly, like low grades of that books, I know sell for like $600. So it feels like $700 is a great buy. And yeah, I just got one too for my birthday. And so I was really excited about that. I think it's such an awesome book. It's so great. Passpoint, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Are you going to Nearman Sunday in July? Yeah, I will 100% try to be there. Like if I'm around, I'm going to go. That's kind of where I think about it. I don't know if I might be going up to Vancouver, but I'm definitely gonna go if I'm around. All right, let me catch up here to chat. Lost my little self. Sorry guys, lost my chat here. Hey Swaggle House. thoughts on FF49? I just picked up a graded copy. I'm surprised it's still somewhat affordable. Dude, FF49, honestly, one of the best books. I'm going to say right now, top two cover in the Silver Age. And the only reason I won't say it's the top cover in the Silver Age is because I don't know what I feel like there's probably going to be a book that's better than it. A15. I don't know, but like one of the best covers ever. And yeah, I think that book is going to be a monster. You'll notice one of the things I'll say this, I think it's still affordable too. I think it's kind of in line to where it wants to be. I did a video talking about the Kang the Conqueror book where I really crunched the numbers and stuff. And I think it's right where it wants to be. I think it will still go up. But one of the things that I think is interesting about that book is that, we had the market boom, and then unlike FF48, which has had a big correction, kind of to what Vinny was saying, because I think the correction is a result of the fact that there's way more on the census. FF49 has not corrected like nearly as much as FF48. And it hasn't corrected as much as other key books that are out there in this market. Like people buy that comic and they want to hold it. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody wants that comic in their collection. Like, I don't think it's a flip book. I'll put it like that. Like, right. Even when we get Galactus, I don't think it's a flip book. I think that everybody wants to own the first full appearance of Galactus for sure. Let me see here. Heritage you can sign could take 5 to 20 weeks to sell. They pay weeks later, etc. Awful place to sell. Modern, great to buy though. But if you have niche Golden Age stuff, they have the market on lockdown. Yeah, so there you go. Name I will not pronounce in the chat, but that's a great take. If anyone's out there trying to find out about Heritage stuff, good info. Hey man, nice channel. What do you think about Plastic Man comics? You think that fun to pop soon? Plastic Man comics. I don't even know what Plastic Man comics is. Anyone in the chat know? Also, man, I have 38 books of X-Men 1 through 4. Of course, that includes the 2 big 1 and 4. Oh, Nathan, I didn't know you were working on your X-Men Grail run. Damn, you have 1 through 544. You only have 38 books left. That's crazy. That's a massive, massive accomplishment. So you still need 1 and you still need 4. That's fine. That's okay. I think 1 is still reachable. And this is actually really interesting. Do you guys think when we get X-Men, like what roster of X-Men is it going to be? And do you guys think that X-Men 1 directly pops off? Because I had a conversation with somebody recently was talking about Giant Size X-Men #1 and saying how that book, granted, it's never going to be more valuable, right? We census, year, etc. But just saying as far as like collectors' vision of like, X-Men movie comes out, I want to own something X-Men. Like they're making the argument that the X-Men people's hearts go to GSX #1, even more so than that of X-Men #1. Where I'm going with all this, Nathan, is I actually think you still have some time to get X-Men #1. I think it's still reachable. And it would be interesting that when we get X-Men, depending on the roster, like maybe the Giant Size, look, both books are going to pop, but maybe Giant Size X-Men is the one that really gets put out of reach. Not X-Men #1 is going to get out of reach. Of course, it's going to get out of reach. But two big books, X-Men #4. I think you're going to be able to find a good deal for that soon because we're on the other end of Doctor Strange. It's going to correct a little bit. I think you'll be able to find one. Let's see here. Let's see, don't conflate value with money. The value of a comic book isn't monetary. It's found in one's relationship to the story, the art, how they work together, and affect the reader. This is very, very well said. Architectural foam. I mean, I totally agree with that, right? Like my favorite books in my collection are the ones that have stories behind them, stories in them and stories behind them. Let's see here. Swag, have you gotten many deals with the downturn in sales? I think so. I mean, like, I messaged you, Chris, like on the few books and stuff. And it's like, I have one that, that I got that I'm waiting for. And to me, it's like, I think it's a pretty good deal. Like, I think that's a pretty good deal overall. And I've seen it as pretty good deals. And even like I've been watching the eBay auctions. The eBay auctions is where I feel like I'm seeing all the steals because like the live auctions that go by for some of these bigger books, like if you pick like a book that's like a key, take FF48 right now, right? Where it's like everyone's specking on Silver Surfer, but it's not like Thor: Love and Thunder is in front of us, right? So maybe like more people are thinking about Hercules or Thor or whatever they're thinking about. So Silver Surfer, it's like there's a bunch of them. that sell on eBay at auction that like every week, end at auction. And like, those are the ones that I'm seeing where it's like, man, like, oh, that was a good price. Like that was a good price. Like that flew under the radar. And even some of the books, like talk about like, you always want to play janitor with these movies. Like, like I look at like first appearance of Dr. Octopus, first appearance of the Green Goblin, like all the characters that were in Spider-Man 3. And I've been watching a bunch of their auctions because I would love to get some of those books. And even though I haven't pulled the trigger one, I'm also noticing those, like they go under auction, like ASM Annual 1 going way under price at a bunch of auctions. It's the live auctions on eBay that where people are getting those steals. Left Rose. Hey, Swaggle. Hey, what's going on, Left Rose? Good to see you. Jennings, what's your ethnicity? I am mixed. I am Filipino and Irish. So I'm mixed Asian. Bob, okay, if Ms. Marvel brings in a younger female audience, good for the game, good for the hobby. Yeah, by all means. They'll definitely bring in new comic book collectors because, like, look, one day I'm going to want to cash in on all this equity behind me. We need more comic book collectors. Circumstances, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. What up, Swaggle fam? Raw Fizz Comics here. I was just watching some early TMNT. I thought I might get at a good price. Nope. Well, TMNT is maybe a different story because I feel like there's the like Golden Age books and pre-code horror and TMNT, like collectors books. Like, that this is like the books that people like to collect. It's like some collectors who've been in it for so long, their palate is like that of a food critic who it's like no longer can get satisfaction out of eating just like regular pasta. Like they have to eat like the craziest ingredients with the craziest, recipes in order to feel the dopamine hit from the food. And I feel like, pre-code horror books and Golden Age stuff is that for those people. So like those books like always have a lot of value because there's just those people who are like chasing the dragon. Like I need the hit to get the book. I would almost lump TMNT in there. I just think that there's such a fervor of nostalgia for TMNT in that sense. Let's see here. Jerry, I really love that last video. Keep an eye on this change in market and buy what you love. Really enjoy your videos in perspective. Are you still collecting Marvel cards? Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. Yeah. Am I still collecting Marvel cards? I have bought 2 in the last like few months, which to answer your question, I think that I am because I bought 2. But I don't, unlike comic books, I feel like I only want to buy slabbed cards. I don't really want to buy raw cards. So there's a lot of that 1990 Marvel Universe Series 1. I would just love to have them for the PC. And I don't need PSA 10s. I do need PSA 9s though. But I still love Marvel cards. I think that they're awesome. I would definitely consider, there's some getting really in the weeds of this. There's some like precious metal gems and like numbered cards. There's like, that's where the market is right now. If you really like know it and really paying attention, I've been like keeping tabs on it. And like, I could see myself just wanting to pick up like a really, pricey Captain America card or something like that. I could for sure do that. I'd love to see that next to my Avengers 4. I appreciate your content. I was finally happy to get Wolverine 1 where he is wearing the brown suit. Oh yeah, that's a great book. Is that the Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine #1? I think that book is like 5th in line, right? Hulk 181, Hulk 180, Wolverine #1 limited series, Wolverine #1, the solo series, and then Marvel Comics Presents #1 Wolverine. I feel like that's like the next collector's book that you would want to own for that character. I think that is such an awesome book. Bro, I'm so lucky. Hear me out. I bought an Infinite Crisis #5 in October, sent it to CGC. It arrived almost 2 weeks ago. And the next day they leaked BTS pics of Blue Beetle. Oh, dude, congrats, man. That's the best. You know what? This happened to me one time in this sense where I bought my Avengers 8 Kang the Conqueror before literally like days before there was like an announcement of like Jonathan Majors is going to play this character. And I was so happy. Like, the value of my book that I bought, like basically 2.5x overnight. So that's a great feeling. Congrats, JD. I might be the only one who is okay with what CGC is doing. I prefer a cleaner label. The description distracts from the book and undermines the grade, and just print the notes and put it on the bag with the slab. Look, Christian, I think that's totally fair to feel that way. And I don't think, a lot of the problem with it is when you have something and you take it away, people are always just going to be mad at that. Like that's really what it comes down to. If CGC started today and they said, here's what we're going to do, here's the labels that we're going to make, and they were like, we're just going to have clean labels, people would be like, cool, go for it. Like nobody would have a problem. It's like having the thing and having it get taken away, that feels bad. And that's why most people on the market are upset. I think the happy medium is either have a QR code so you can instantly pull it up, or just put it on the back. Like, to me, it feels like it would be really good to put stuff on the back. But I also appreciate the clean aesthetic of the label. I can definitely see the argument for that, because I do think it looks better to have the clean aesthetic of the label. But I think it's just super helpful to have those notes on the back. Let's see here. Do you collect new books released weekly? Yeah, I do from time to time. Yeah, got a couple things. What did I pick up this week? I don't really talk about it on the channel. I don't always collect new books. Like, I don't have a pull list or anything like that. I just go over to my LCS if I see something new that's coming out that I'm interested in, and I pick it up. So, like, for instance, this week, The Closet, #1 by James Tynion. I think everything he writes has been really, really great. I'm a writer myself, so I really appreciate his work. So I always pick up his stuff. And then this one right here, Avengers Forever, #6, Vibranium Man. Everyone was talking about this book. I picked it up because I thought it had a cool cover, and I could see them doing a version of that suit eventually. So I'm not super, I'm not super into new comic books. Like last week, I didn't pick up anything, but yeah, I'll pick up them from time to time when I think a book is cool or interesting. And I don't really talk about it. I feel like there's other channels and other people that do a better job talking about new comic book day stuff and know a lot more than I do. I dropped my lights and have been using Proline bags with 56 point boards. Looks as good and is way cheaper. My Heron books go Mylar sleeves until I grade them. Yeah, that's some good advice. I got to get into the bags and board stuff again. I got to do some more research on that, because I've been able to kind of get by with like the supplies I have. I haven't had to buy stuff in a little while, but I should look into some other stuff. Let's see here. I find Whatnot is for buyers to get deals on books, and if sellers sell at or near fair market value, they don't sell as much. Sorry, wait. I find Whatnot is for buyers to get deals on books, and if sellers sell at or near fair market value, they don't sell as much. Yeah. I think Whatnot, if it's a key book, whatever that means, if it's a $25+ book, I think it favors the buyer by a big time. I think if it's an under $20 book, it favors the seller, because you, the seller, are going to sell this book. Like, because presumably you just, a lot of people, I think, use it as a good way. It's like, hey, you need some run fillers, you need to fill out your collection. Here's some books, easy sales, easy transactions. I'm done with it. You want it. Here you go. So I think that helps the sellers just able to move some of the inventory that they no longer want to have in their collection. What is the Emmy for? I answered this in my other Q&A question. I work in film, and I won an Emmy for something I directed. Hair takes a big cut, but they also get those rare books to the right eyes. Yes, I think that is definitely the advantage, right? It's like you buy from Heritage, or their client list is like really all that matters, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're selling a book for 6 figures, like, what do you care if the commission is like, if you bought the book like 20 years ago, like, what do you care, right? At that point, you're so far in the green. Right on, I'm in San Diego area. I almost had to evacuate a few years ago before I started collecting. Reggie Collects talked about this a little while back. Just thought I'd see if others had a system. Yeah, no system yet, but I probably should have one. Heroes and Campbell is cool. Alan is the owner. Yeah, Steve, I totally agree. I love their store. I love the aesthetic of their store. I love how it's kind of like in an A-frame. It's always fun. It's fun. It's like going into LCSs. There's different kinds of LCSs. There's the super dirty, like boxes everywhere, completely disorganized LCS that you go into, and it's like an old school collector dude who owns it, who's like, doesn't like even acknowledge when you walk in. He's got his arms folded and he's like watching like a TV with bunny ears on it. There's those types of comic book stores, which I actually love going into those stores because of the fact that like when you go into those stores, like that's where you can really find gems. And I love buying from LCS owners who are like old school, and they like to them, they think low grades are like pieces of crap, right? Like, so it doesn't matter if it's a key book, if it's under like a 7.0 for them, they're like, this is a piece of crap. And they like totally undervalue those things. I love buying from those people. Heroes, on the other hand, is the score the LCS you go into. And that's the LCS where it's like, they just got cool stuff everywhere, you know, statues, things like key books on the wall. It's just like a fun experience to go in that. And that's like a different aesthetic, but I really like going to them. And then you have the stores that are like really clean, you know, like it feels like you're going into like Intelligentsia or like a modern coffee shop. And although I like the aesthetic and I appreciate it, those are the places you're never going to find like Silver Age books in those places. Do you read moderns? If so, what are you reading now? Yeah, I just showed that The Closet, the James Tynion stuff. So I do read some moderns for sure. I like more of the indie stuff as opposed to like the Marvel stuff. But I'll read Marvel from time to time. I have like Marvel Unlimited, so I actually do most of my reading on Unlimited. It's just easier to follow along. FF49 is so much rarer due to that warehouse find. It is incredibly hard to get in high grade. Yeah, compared to the 48. Yeah, and everyone wants one like say ASM 300. Yeah, everybody wants FF49. Like that's the thing that's like, we talked about this before with like some of these key books, and I don't know, guys. We might get some dislikes here, but I talk about this with Chris Vancouver, and we've talked about this with Ryan Automatic Comics as well. I feel like some of these books, like FF4, First Submariner Silver Age, I think is a great book, but I think it's a flip book. I think people are like investing in this to like flip it eventually. Whereas like FF49, I think people are like investing in or speccing on it, but like nobody wants to not have it in their collection. So like you might be stacking copies that you're going to sell some extras, but you know, everyone's going to want one book in their collection. And I don't know if that's true of like some of those other books. Like, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. FF4 is a bad example, guys. It's an amazing book, but I think that when we're talking about like the real big books out there, I think there's like some that are more like every collector wants this versus like people are kind of low key speculating on this. Any odd or side runs you started collecting? For me, it's recently been the Rock and Roll Revolution comics. Been weird and fun. Curious if you or anyone else started older odd series lately. I haven't really got into like the really like esoteric, like crazy comic book stuff, but like I have like my little niche things that I like collecting. Like, I mean, this isn't really that weird, but like I have some video game books, you know, like this World of Warcraft, things like that like I like, you know, but nobody else really would care about. So I collect those types of stuff. Like, and I would never make videos about it because nobody cares about those books. Hey, Swaggle, thoughts on FF49? I just picked up a graded copy. Oh, I found myself. What happened here? We lost the chat here. It's funny that it boosted me back up to this. If you guys have never been on StreamYard, it just goes like that. Like the chat just flicks back and forth, and you totally lose yourself. Let's see here. Cannabis Comics here. I enjoyed your video on Focus. I started doing this a year ago and streamlined to simply Dr. Doom and Miles Morales books. Solid characters, in my opinion. Yeah. Look, thank you. I think it's a good time. I think it's a good time to just remember, you know, what it is you're trying to collect, or like just reassess like what the goals are with your collection. And that's not to say that you don't let books come to you. Like I still let books find their way to me, you know, because look, everything I buy, I think is cool anyways. And so it's always good to have a little bit of an open mind of like, hey, like I wasn't looking for first appearance of Elektra, but I came across it and she's pretty cool. And yeah, I'll buy it. And you keep that open mind, you let the books come to you. But again, like if you always got to channel your energy. If you're a big Doom person, Go after the Doom. If you're a big Darkhawk fan, get yourself some Darkhawk, things like that. So I think it's good to reprioritize and focus. Old collectors like me have a fine palette in comics. Dan, you do have a fine palette in comics. That's very, very true. Very, very true. Hey, Swag, what condition would a Thor 337 need to be in for you to pick it up for $120? There's one in my LCS, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. Thor 337. That's got to be Beta Ray Bill, right? Thor 337. I mean, I don't know what the prices are off the top of my head. 120, just stepping back, doesn't feel crazy to me. Because I'm trying to think about like, okay, what do I know about this book? What do I know about this character? What tier of character are they in relation to other stuff? When did this book come out? Came out at the same time that She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk came out. I would put She-Hulk higher prestige of a character than Beta Ray Bill. Came out at the same time as Avengers Annual 10, first appearance of Rogue. I would put Rogue above Thor Beta Ray Bill. I find a lot of Rogue books for $100. I find a lot of She-Hulk books now at like $150. So, you know, I just do with these head exercises in my head. This is what I would do. If I was considering this book, what I usually do, I go on to eBay, I search for the book. I look at what is the lowest price buy it now that is on eBay. And let's say, you know what? I'm just going to do it right here. We're going to do it off camera for $337. Buy it now. Sort by lowest price first. All right. Reprint. Got to make sure we're not looking at the reprints here. Okay, here. The Mighty Thor 337. First appearance Beta Ray Bill. The lowest price buy it now on eBay right now is $120 with 13 watchers. So your LCS has it for $120. Tied for what the price of the buy it now is on eBay. If I were in your situation, and this is a book I wanted, I would buy it. Because of the fact that it's already going to be cheaper than what it would cost you to buy it off of eBay, because you're going to have to pay for shipping and tax. I mean, you're going to still have to pay for tax, but shipping, whatever. But if you're sort of like speccing on this book, I would not buy it. That's my answer to your question. If I get lucky on eBay and get a major key at well below FMV, did my lucky purchase just depreciate the comic? Do outliers play a role in the market? That's a good point. Yeah, it does, because Christian, so if you, let's say you're bidding on whatever, like Amazing Fantasy 15, and you get a steal and it's a $2,000 sale, does the fair market value get adjusted? Yeah, it does. So that then affects, ironically, the value. But that said, you know, just because you got it for that value doesn't mean that the next person that buys the book has to pay, like, or the next dealer that sells the book has to sell it at that price. You know, like a lot of people will just throw out that number and be like, all right, somebody just got lucky that day, you know, and so that's not a real assessment of what the value would be. But yeah, it does adjust. Like, for instance, like on Go Collect, like if a book goes for less than fair market value, like the fair market value algorithms will adjust. I saw your video on your pickup of Journey to Mr. 85. Congrats on the acquisition. Thank you. Curious, do you have a bar you set for grades that you won't go below? I try to keep it at 4 above. Let me know. Yeah. Spaceman, I do have a bar. But it depends. Well, actually, no, I'll say this. I don't have a bar because it all just depends on the book. Like, I take an AF15 and 1.0 all day. You know what I mean? I have certain things that I don't like. Like, I don't want the cover to be detached. I don't want it to be like a decrepit, like missing half of a page on the cover. So there's things like that I would prefer not to have. So great, I'm flexible, but depending on the book as well, like talking about FF48, that's a book I don't own. And I would like to get an FF48. And in my mind, I've decided that I don't want to buy less than a 4.0, just because where the value is, it's like $2K fair market value for 4.0. And I'm like, yeah, I can buy a book for $2K like when I'm ready to buy it, I'll buy it. And I just want it at that grade. So it really just depends on like what the value of the price of the book. Whereas like AF15, I don't need it, you know. But Mrs. Swag makes fun of me for books that are 2.5 or lower. So now I have this like thing where it's like, I can't buy a book for lower than a 2.5 without her seeing it and then making fun of me for it. And I do have a book coming. That's a pretty nice book. And it's it's a 1.8. You guys forget a previous. It's 1.8. This is why I cannot see it. But the reason I bought it is because I think we can fix it. We can get a great bump, I think. Wolverine books in order. All right, Nathan, let's see. 181, 180, agree. 192. What's 192? I don't know what that is. Limited one. Yeah. Ongoing one. Yeah. Hulk 340. You know what? I forgot about that one. Hulk 340. I would rather have Hulk 340 than limited one and ongoing one. That might be controversial, but I would. Marvel Comics Presents 72. Yeah. Origin of War. Yeah. That's a good one. Weapon X. Marvel Comics Presents 1. Yeah, there it is. Wolverine 66. Is that the John Byrne cover? Isn't there the one where he's like diving like this? Like that's one of the Jim Lee one. Like I feel like that one is a good one. X-Men 11. If you count that as a Wolverine one. Oh, 182, not 182. Gotcha. I got an email today from CGC saying they're working on putting QR code on labels. Oh, hey, that's great. I didn't know that, Zach. Yeah, I'll look into that. Maybe we need to do a follow-up video to talk about that. I think that's a good solution, honestly. So we should definitely talk about that. Oh, lost the chat. Lost the chat. Got to go have work tomorrow. Hey, Lego, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate you. Ronnie here. Should I make a stink about my LCS putting damaged books in my pull box? Yeah. I mean, you can be nice about it, but you should say something for sure. And maybe it's not their fault. Maybe the shipment came in and it was damaged. But yeah, I think you should totally voice and be like, hey, like this one has some spine ticks on it or whatever. At the very least, they can maybe try to give you a different copy if they have one. But I have been noticing a lot of LCSs post pictures of like their shipments coming in where all the books are damaged. Or I've gone into my LCS. You ever guys see those like stacks on the new comic book racks? And it's like, you can see like every single book has spine ticks on it. And you're just like, man, what happened with the shipping there? But if you're very nice about it, you should 100% say something. 2 good new comic day picks this week. So yeah, thank you, man. I thought they were cool. So wanted to get them. But I don't think effects story incomplete would be included in the graders notes. I think, can't remember, Rofus, what we were talking about there. Yeah, I picked up a closet along with Nice House on the Lake 9. Nice. Yeah. I have Nice House on the Lake 1 through 6. I kind of fell off of it when they took the pause, but maybe I'll jump back on it. Let's see. New sub here, Montreal, Canada. Hey, Adam. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. Just going through. Blah, blah, blah. How many short boxes of books do you have? Oh, man. That's I feel like that's such a personal question, right? Like a personal comic book collection. Like, how many short boxes do you have? I'd have to count. Does the current comics have the same quality as far as writing and art as older comics? It depends. I think both. I think yes and no. And no and yes. I think, like, here's the thing. It's like, how do you argue what is better art? Because the tools and the techniques are better today, right? In the way that like cinematography for movies is better than it was 50 years ago. But is Citizen Kane a masterpiece? 100%. Is everything Jack Kirby did masterpieces? 100%. So their art is better than current art for sure in many instances, but current art is also better than old art in many instances. So really it's subjective. Is the writing better? Same thing for me. I think the writing in the Silver Age is of a time. You know what I mean? Like, it's of a time. So there's a lot of not good writing. There's also a ton of not good writing today. So yeah, I don't know. That's like really political non-answer to your question. Want to trade FF49 for ASM sub 10s? Well, Sindane, I mean, you're like an ASM homer. You know what I mean? You're an ASM homer. Of course, you're trading FF49 for those. Music creators, I'm proud owner of FF49 CC 9.0. Oh, That's beautiful. That must look beautiful. I think you're right on FF4 thing, but I'd love a mid-grade copy for my long-term collection, but damn, it's expensive. Yeah. It's a great book. I don't want to poo-poo on it. It's a great book, but yeah, it's a tough one. It's going to be a tough one to have. It's a really low census book. It's 1962. Like any 1962 book is going to be hard to pick up. One in FF72 on Whatnot for $2. Yeah, dude, honestly, that's, if you're on Whatnot and it's a book that would presumably sell for like more than 25 and you were a seller, I probably wouldn't sell it on Whatnot. It's just so hard. Like, unless you're like Very Gary or Comic Tom and you have like 500 people in your chat, then you might get fair market value. But like, if you're just like a kind of a random seller, it's going to be hard for you to move some of those books, but it's great for the buyers. And look, at the end of the day, maybe that person bought a collection and they don't care. They technically paid 30 cents on the dollar for every book and you bought it for $2. So they're fine. Everyone wins. Why is the community so hesitant to talk about pricing, grading, and taxes? What do you mean talk about pricing, grading, and taxes? I mean, I feel like I talk about all of them. I mean, I haven't talked about taxes, but yeah, I mean, I pay my taxes and pay my taxes with everything I buy and sell. Would you sell a big portion of your key collection to get a major grail like Hulk 1, Jim 83, or maybe even AF15? Yeah, of those books, I mean, I would love to have all those books. Fortunately, those have never been my favorite characters, right? But yeah, I would if I needed to. But like it's like, it's all of a tier system for me, right? Where it's like, everything you see behind me is like more of my expensive stuff. And then there's like a bunch of other stuff over here. So instead of selling my Avengers 1, I'm just going to try to sell what is over here to give me the budget to get the AF15. I realize at a certain point, there's a breaking point where it's like, yeah, maybe I have to let go of my X-Men 4 to like use that to buy the major grail. But so the answer to the question is yes, I would. But right now, I'm not actively trying to do that. Any thoughts on Malibu Sun 19, first appearance of the Pit? Do you think it's an undervalued book? Is Pit the character like the image Pit? Is that who you're talking about? If it is, Pit definitely seems like he has a super cult following. So I don't know what the prices are for Sun 19, but it seems like it would be somewhat undervalued because I do think that Pit has a cult following. What is your take on Marvel Spotlight 6? The first appearance of Star-Lord in comics. Is this an undervalued key? Yes. In my personal opinion, David, I think it's a great book. I think like I've talked about it a few times, at least in comic haul videos where I've picked it up, and I have a couple copies that I'm always going to keep one, but I have a couple copies that I'm holding, and I think it's a super undervalued book. I realized that the first appearance of Star-Lord is in those magazines, but I honestly, I think the magazines are cool. I really do. And I do think that there's a lot of people who love the magazines, but I think most of the market, not most of the market, I think at least half of the market doesn't like magazines. They just don't like the aesthetics. And we are comic book collectors. We are all into aesthetics, right? Like, we love covers, we love art, we love visual, we like aesthetics. And once you get to magazine format, that breaks the, feeling of that symmetry. And for that reason, I think that those Marvel premiere books with the first appearance of Star-Lord and things like that, even though they're great covers, I don't know if collectors really want them. It's good. It's a problem for that character's value, which is why I think Marvel Spotlight 6 is a great book. I don't know where the prices are currently, and I don't know necessarily that it's ever going to be a book that's like $1,000. But I do think that it's going. I think it's undervalued now, and I think when more people start to talk about it, we get closer to Guardians 3. I think that it'll be a more in-demand book and probably go up in price for sure. And I think it's a great book for the long term. Thor 337 has a much, much better cover than either of those for what it's worth. Yeah, it is true. It is an amazing cover. Totally amazing cover. Totally agree. You watching Boys season 3? Yeah, I will 100% watch The Boys season 3. I haven't started it yet, but I watched season 1 and 2, and I love the show, so I will totally watch it. Do you know what Dragon Ball Z is? Of course I know what Dragon Ball Z is. Come on. Goku, it's classic. Like, there's like post high school Dragon Ball Z over 9,000, the best. My bar for grades is based on the era Silver Age and older. I'm fine with a 0.5 as long as it's complete. Bronze Age Grails I want in 4.0. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Nathan, where it's like, I feel like it all depends on the book. And that has a lot of effect to do with the grade. And yeah, I'm kind of with you. I feel like Bronze Age books, like you want to hit that 4 level for the Bronze Age book. Although I have a Marvel Spotlight 5, which is a 3.5. So I'm under the bar in that one. Oh, well. I collect, but I ain't hardcore about it. To each his own. Yeah, it's all good. You know, collect what you love, and you don't have to be hardcore. She shouldn't throw low grade shame on you. Yeah, now it's just sort of a running joke, but she definitely grade shames me for sure. Oh yeah, I have to get high grades. I know. I got to step up my collection here. I got to step up my collection. Hey, Swag, got a book pressed with your guy at Frankenstein's. Thanks for the rec. Crazy high prices on comics and all those booths, though, and lots of people buying stuff well above FMV. Hey, Matt. Yeah, I'm glad that it worked out for you. He's always done a great job for pressing. I think hopefully he gave you a good price on it. But yeah, Frankenstein's, I love going there. It's really, really fun. It's like the comic show experience every week. But there's only a handful of booths, and it's and I there was a time like a year ago where I felt like there were deals for sure. And now last couple of times, definitely prices were pretty rough, but it's, you know, this is where it's like, it's just not everything is going to be a steal. You just got to find steal within the booth, but I'm glad that the pressing worked out. Swag be like, it's low grade and presents well, but the wife will totally make fun of me. Yeah, she does, man. She has this such a grade snob. She's such a grade snob. Like, she just automatically assumes higher grade, higher value. You know, she looks at like, she's like, oh, like ASM 300 9.2, like that must be so much more valuable than your crappy Avengers 1. Like that's her rationale with it. Chicks just dig the high grades, man. I've learned the hard way that I should check quality of my pulled books before I pay. Yeah, I think that, you know, I don't have a pull list because I just don't want to be tied to anything. But I feel you. I mean, I feel like you should definitely say something about the spine ticks. If you get in books that are banged up, you should definitely say something. What up, Swag Bucks? What's going on? We are Venom. Let's see here. Woman cover. Swag. What makes a good movie? The good guys or the bad guys? Well, if we're talking about superheroes here, I think villains are extremely, extremely important because superhero movies are, you know, it's the hero's journey. It's the modern myth. It's Joseph Campbell. It's all of these things. And we have to, through the vehicle that is the character or the protagonist that we're living, they have to be confronted with this obstacle that represents both a physical threat and an emotional threat and a thematic threat, most importantly. And these villains have to represent that thematic threat. And therefore, both are important. But I will say a lot of problems I've had with some of the recent Marvel properties is I don't think the villains are living up to what I think they should be. And I think it is hurting the hero characters because the hero characters, now we're in, we're in this like moral gray territory of things. I think it's really hard to do that when you're doing superhero films that are modern myths. The bronze page, to answer your question, hell no. It's my comic book. I've got a FF2 for Scrolls. It's in beautiful condition, but it's missing the Thing ad page. You think I can still get good money for Wait Until Secret Invasion? Yeah, dude, that's a great book. Even if it's qualified, that's such a good book. So undervalued, actually, underappreciated. But I think that's an awesome book. 1962. For sure, you're going to be able to get a premium. I mean, we'll see. I think it's one of those, like, in my video today talking about the market, like, is Secret Invasion going to cause a wave now of scroll buying? I think it's going to bring eyes to the book, but really at the end of the day, the market is the market. But yeah, I think that's an awesome book for sure. Comic Book Town, writing is weaker. Too many books are movie or TV show pitches. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that, Comic Book Countdown, for sure. I mean, I think that there's like a pipeline and people are aspiring to write eventually to a certain medium, not necessarily a comic book medium. And I think that sometimes the comic medium is not utilized to its best efforts in that regard. But there are other people that are doing good stuff. You know, but I do think there's a big portion of comic writers that are not utilizing the medium best. Any opinions on buying reprints like classic X-Men? A good way to get so many Bronze Age issue for almost nothing. Yeah, I think that there is a market for it, Glenn. And I think there are certain reprints that I personally would value. So like if it was a reprint of a book that like is massively expensive, then I think it might be worth getting it. Like one that comes to mind, I don't know the reprint numbers as well off top, but like there's like reprints of like ASM 14, it's like the Green Goblin and it's like a red cover. And I think that there's like totally a market or totally a collector that's like, yeah, I don't have in my budget to buy ASM 14, but I can buy this book. It's still cool. Like it's got Green Goblin on it. So yeah, I think that there's totally a market for that. So it really just depends. Like I wouldn't get it for everything. I would maybe consider getting one or two for a book that was out of my budget range. Did you like Joe Casada's work? I mean, it was such a long run, right? That he had been doing stuff. If you're talking about like what he's actually written, I haven't actually read or drawn. I haven't actually. What are his works? I feel like I just know like him as sort of an editor, what he'd been working on all these years. And like, he's had some good things, got some bad things. He was over the Bendis era with a lot of those events that were successful. Some of the newer stuff, not so much. So it'll be interesting. I definitely think that we need to now dub a new era. Like now that Casada is gone, can we not be in the like modern age of comics anymore? Can we at least be in like if we're ever going to call, 2022 and on a new decade of like what the books are, like we need to like now that Kevin Feige is like the head of creative and we have Marvel and we have the speculation and all this stuff that's all tied together and Joe Casada is gone, definitely feels like this should be an age, right? Silver, bronze, copper, modern, speculation age, Feige era, whatever we want to call it, feels like the end of the era that we should be calling this the new thing. Bought a Journey into Mystery 112 raw. Do you think it has resale value? Well, it depends on what you picked it up for. Is that the Hulk cover? Mystery 112. Sorry, can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, the Hulk cover. I think that's an awesome book, and depends on what you bought it for. Like whatever you bought it for, if you bought it for less than what it's selling for on eBay, then I would say it most certainly has resale value. Most comic collectors avoid magazines because of the sizing. I feel like, yeah, it's an aesthetic thing. I think. Is ASM 129 or other early Punisher undervalued? ASM 129 is an interesting book because we're talking about those Bronze Age books, right? What are the top Bronze Age keys? Hulk 181, First Wolverine. Let's talk about the characters that came out first appearance. Wolverine, Ghost Rider, Moon Knight, Blade, Giant Size X-Men, Storm, Colossus Nightcrawler, Punisher. That's kind of the ensemble. Luke Cage, Iron Fist, things like that. That's kind of the ensemble of characters that came out, like tier list, right? Of those books, 181, Giant Size X-Men 1, and ASM 129 have the much higher of a census. So when we're doing like undervalued tier list and we're comparing like values of Punisher versus values of Ghost Rider, where are they at? And then what's the census on that? So I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head. So I think it's both undervalued, but also maybe it's not because the census is what it is. I do think that because it is an ASM book, it's always going to have the Spider-Man effect. So outside of Punisher fans, outside of movie hype, outside of John Bernthal rumors, ASM is the run to collect, right? So every Spider-Man fan also wants that book. So I think that is a factor that gives it a boost. But I think it's probably undervalued. I would think it's probably undervalued, and all the Punisher books are probably undervalued. I would say that there's probably tons of $25 keys that are in the Punisher run right now that sell for $5 because of the fact that people have just sort of forgotten, and we forget. I think the collectors, we all forgot how big Punisher is, because when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, I know everyone in the chat's going to remember this. I know that people are talking about this because when we were growing up, Wolverine, Punisher, Ghost Rider, those were the three. Like, that's what people bought. ASM too. But those were like the three that were like the most popular for like, I don't know, six years. Those were all the characters that people were obsessed with. So I feel like we forget how popular Punisher is and what he could be. And I know a lot of people are not going to like this, but when it comes to Disney, if they can just give him a little bit of like the PG-13 Punisher, give him a couple quips here and there, do a characterization where he's like kind of scary, but he's also kind of funny, he's going to be a megastar. But I don't know. We'll see. Can I sell stuff at Franklin & Sons? I think you have to set up to be a vendor. But you can go to their website and you can look. How much do you think Spec market was speculators selling to other speculators, driving in up prices versus actual collectors buying what they want? I mean, it's hard to say. I have no idea, but I'll say that I think a lot of the Spec prices are probably from newer collectors or people that are not necessarily in it for the money. I just think that there are a lot of people who they watch Moon Knight, Scarlet Scarab comes out, and they're like, hey, cool character. I see them on TV. I want to own that book. And they buy it. And they buy it for $25 and they're like, cool, I have it now. And like, that's cool for them. You know, I think that's a lot of people. Like, I feel like if you're a hardcore speculator, you're probably not buying the flavor of the week book, if that makes sense. But I do think that there's a lot of people who, like, you know, we're all like trading comics, right? With money exchanges in the hopes that like art, you know, it's like, you just don't want to be caught left holding the bag. So there is this velocity of trading and velocity of money. But we'll see. We're not done with the Spec market. We're just in a little bit of a downturn. It's going to pop off again. I'm telling you, when we get an Avengers movie again, and it's like Secret Wars and every cast member is in it and Chris Evans comes back for the film, it's going to start another boom cycle again. It will. Interesting comment about Marvel spotlights. I like to collect them with the Star Wars Insider magazine selling well, especially the Mandalorian covers. But it's interesting it goes. Yeah, definitely. Let's see. Director Swag holding class right now. Yeah, that was my little TED talk. I'm on a film channel, film YouTube. Have some sound bites and stuff. Film Courage. So it was weird. It was actually funny because like I'm on this channel and it was like an interview thing. I was talking about writing and the process and things like that. And I did notice there were a couple comments that were like, "Oh, Swaggle-Hoss." It's just really funny. It's funny when my like persona out here mixes with my persona in here. Umbrella Academy Comics. What's your view for the future? I'm not like as big on like the DC world and stuff. And so I don't know about Umbrella Academy specifically. I actually do have a few Umbrella Academy comics, funny enough, but like, I feel like of the shows, that's one people talk pretty highly of it, right? Like people like the show. So I don't know if, I don't know what the outlook is for it, but aren't they coming in their new season? I mean, it feels like their first appearances are always going to have value. People are always going to appreciate it. So buy and hold. Can you describe your thought process when it comes to whether or not to send a book to get slabbed versus keeping it raw, aside from Avengers 8? Yeah, I mean, it depends. Here's the thing. Well, I know the people in the chat too are also going to have really good thoughts about this. But like, at the end of the day, it comes down to this. What is the end game goal for my book, right? Am I trying to sell this book? That's like one thing I got to figure out. Am I trying to sell it? And then number two, is this a book of a certain value where, say, something happens to me and Mrs. Swag inherits the book? Does she need to know that this book is not a $25 key, right? Like, so should it be in this CGC case or whatever the case may be, so that when she goes to a comic book store to like pawn off all my things to marry like some new person, will she get a good deal from the LCS. So, right. So those are the two factors, right? So selling it, and then like, do I need to make sure that the money is protected in the value of this comic book? So those are the two factors. And then because really at the end of the day, then it becomes like, well, how much does it cost to send it to CGC, right? Like I have a raw book right here. What did I buy it for? Let's say I bought it for $400, and the value of the grade that I think it's going to be is $450 in a CGC case. Well, it's going to cost me $75 to send it to CGC. So to me, in that situation, I don't think it's worth doing that. So really, it's like you have to factor in like, what did you buy the book for? What are the costs of the grading fees? What are the costs of the pressing? And then after I go through that process and I get that book back, am I still in the green for where I have for what I bought the book for? And if you are, it might be worth grading it. But then you have to ask the question, are you going to sell it? And if you're going to sell it, then maybe it's definitely worth grading it, because you still have the margin for what you were the grading fees, and your plan overall was to sell it. But if it's just for your personal collection, just to hold, then maybe it's not worth doing that, because it just cost you $75 to put it in a case when you just put it in a Mylar bag behind you and it would still look cool. So that's my thought process for the CGC books. I mean, it's expensive, right? Like my last submission cost me like $950 just to send it in. So I had to make sure I had some books that were coming back to me that I was willing to sell, because I want everything to pay for itself. So I want it to offset those costs. So you kind of have to like figure that stuff out as well. I don't know if that made sense. So like, you thought about dipping your toes in the golden age era? A little bit. Like, I love Captain America. I would love to get a timely Captain America comic book. There's some Batman stuff I would love to get. I like golden age stuff, but funny enough, it also comes down to aesthetics, where it's like, the bigger format. I gotta buy golden age Mylights. God, Sam sounds like, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think there's definitely some golden age books that I would be interested in getting, but I got a lot of other stuff I still am prioritizing. Sorry, did you get my note on Punisher Revisit? Tom, no, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. I think X-Men would be better off on Disney Plus. That leads into a feature. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Ronnie. I mean, there's so many X characters. I feel like they're probably going to break it up, right? Like, it feels like if you do an X Factor series or an Alpha Flight series, that seems fitting for Disney Plus. And then if you have a Cyclops movie, that feels like, well, actually, this is a good question. Can Cyclops command his own movie at this point? The brand of his character, like how do the kids know who Cyclops is? Do the kids care about Cyclops? It's kind of an interesting question. But like a Wolverine movie, yeah, like that's going to move the needle. Hey, Swag, would love a video on the value of trading books. I think with the market calming down and focus shifting back to PC books instead of flip books, it could be the way to go. Yeah, I think trading books is good. I mean, I made that one trading video. I went to the con and I traded some books and I talked a little bit about it, but it would be a good thing to revisit for sure. So yeah, Jonathan, maybe I can make another one about that. I enjoy Casada on his independent books on the Ash books. I haven't read those ones. People talk highly of like his creative work. I think he probably was like a creative who found himself having to run creative. And there's a big difference between being creative and running creative. Cinematic age begins whenever MCU or Dark Knight began, whichever came first. Yeah, I think that there should be a cinematic age. Oh, here I'm catching up to my own conversation. Yeah, cinematic age, internet age, cinematic age beginning with Dark Knight and Iron Man. Yeah, I think that there should be some. It breaks the formula. Well, no, it doesn't, because modern has nothing to do with copper, bronze, silver, right? It should have been Iron Age, or it should have been, I don't know, whatever metal is next. But like, yeah, modern cinematic age. I like the cinematic age. Let's make a video about it. Can we let's start this? Can we get it started? How about we call it postmodern period? Postmodern has many different postmodern meanings in that sense. That could be a kind of a polarizing thing. I think cinematic age definitely could work. Should I spec on ASM 265 for Silver Sable? Steph Curry, great game tonight. Just to let you know, I'm a big fan. I grew up in the Bay Area, and the Warriors are my team. And I'm rooting for you guys. So should you spec on it? Like, 260. This is a perfect example of a book that I personally would let find me. Meaning, I'm going to go out to LCSs and I'm going to hunt for books. And one day, if I should be flipping by an ASM 265 at a good deal, I would buy it. That's what I would do with this book, because one, I don't need to buy it on eBay right now because who knows how long we are away from that movie. Two, it's Sony. Kind of hit and miss right now with their properties. And by hit and miss, I mean miss and miss. So, I wouldn't put all my eggs in the basket, but also table that. If Silver Sable is your favorite character, by all means, buy the book, get it. Absolutely. What are your favorite superhero movies? I'd say of the MCU movies, Avengers #1, Iron Man #1, Infinity War and Endgame, Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Those are my top 5. Dark Knight, Batman Begins, the Dark Knight franchise, amazing franchise. I'd have to think really hard about it, but like those are the creme de la creme for me. I remember when the Punisher ongoing came out, it was bonkers. Yeah, Punisher was massive. And the on every I can remember all my friends were picking up the Punisher one. Yeah, Nathan, you Wolverine, Punisher, Ghost Rider, and then along came. You're right. When Venom and Carnage, like that run was crazy. Like everyone was jumping on that stuff. Hey Swag, do you own any full runs, or do you mostly go after keys? I do own some full runs. I mostly go after keys, but I do have a few runs that are sort of nostalgia runs for me. So Darkhawk, 1 through 50. There's 51 technically, but 1 through 50 of the copper. I have Wolverine, his ongoing run, like 1 through 100 something. I have Silver Surfer, the Volume 3 Silver Surfer run, which is my favorite run of all time. Steve Englehart started the run, and then eventually Jim Starlin took it over. That was the Infinity Gauntlet stuff. That one is like my favorite series to have read growing up. And so I have the run of that. And then I have my Avengers run I'm working on, have some X Factor run. Yeah, so those are kind of my runs. Those are my runs. I have some other Silver Age runs I'm starting to kind of like filter in and stuff. You know what I really love? I think the answer to my own poll of like which Silver Age covers pound for pound were the best. This might not be a popular opinion, but if Chris Vancouver Comic Junkie is still in the chat, this is a book I just picked up. I wouldn't make a video about this, but this is just a book I bought for myself online on Instagram. Incredible Hulk 115. Look at this cover, man. Look at this cover. So to your point, Gary, these early Incredible Hulk books, like the Herb Trimpe stuff, I think like such awesome covers. Like I would maybe do like an early Hulk, like 102 through like 150 or so. I think that those early Hulk covers are so good. What do you think about the Star Wars High Republic series? I have the first couple of issues. I read them, kind of enjoyed them. Thought the writing was a little bit dense, I would say. So I had to like kind of, I don't enjoy reading comics where I have to go back to the top and read the page, or like I have to view the art. Like the words don't work well with the art. There's such like an artistry to lettering as well as panel layout. And when I read Star Wars, it was just kind of dense for me. But I love Star Wars. Like I don't love what Obi-Wan. I don't totally love the show. I'm enjoying it because anytime I can watch Star Wars and be put in that world, I'm always going to enjoy it. So I always enjoy the read, but like, yeah, I'm going to wait. I'd love to get like a trade of it and read it again. The other trinity of early 90s, I think about Sleepwalker, Darkhawk, Deathhawk, all those came out at the same time. They were like all the rookies together. Oh, good times. New Warriors. I would lump into that one as well. Jeremy, huge fan of the channel. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Thanks for stopping by. got to pick one to buy: X Factor 6 or X Factor 24. Ooh. I love both those books, but I would go with X Factor 6 because I think Apocalypse. It's funny. I love villains, right? Like I've mentioned this on the thing before, but I think Apocalypse. I will always say X Factor 6, the cheapest blue chip book you will be able to find for yourself. So, and therefore, I think it is a necessary book for the collection. I think I have to watch Film Threat with Chris Gore. Yeah, Film Threat channel is pretty good. There, I've met Chris actually before. Definitely looking up your film career stuff. No, don't look it up, man. Don't look it. We'll talk Nowhere Bound later about it. We'll talk about that later. Swag, you had me until you made The Punisher a Disney caricature. Just say no to Disney. Just say yes to Stan Lee and Christopher. No, I know, Matt. I know people are not going to be happy. But look, if we get Punisher, he's going to be PG-13. Actually, that's not true. Apparently, they're going to be doing Deadpool 3, and it will be an R-rated movie. We're talking about catalog, right? Remember, Ms. Marvel, Kid Show, Deadpool R-rated, Punisher, maybe R-rated as well. So I think it's possible. But, when they do the team-up movie, right, where they have Punisher interact with Spider-Man, like, they're going to give Punisher quips. John Berthal is going to adjust his character with, Tom Holland so that it feels aesthetically of the same movie. Let's see. Biggest hope for Dr. Doom casting for the MCU. This one, so I don't know. I think we need to get. Okay, some people are going to say we should just get the best actor. I think that's kind of true. But I think we also kind of should get some star power in there. We kind of need some star power, meaning like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, like they did a lot. Scarlett Johansson, they did a lot for the star power factor. I know Marvel would love to get away with casting people that aren't going to be expensive, because I'm sure like when they like the amount of money they have to pay, like Scarlett Johansson, RDJ, Chris Evans, like when it gets to like, the Endgame level movie is a lot. And I think as they continue to do this and they're looking at their books and they're assessing, what these productions are going to cost, it's very clear that they want to try to figure out like, how do we get some star power, but like, maybe we can lock these people into longer contract. It's like, you know what it is? It's like, they just don't want to get the high expensive free agent players for the team, right? Like you want to be able to lock in that second year, third year player and have them on the, the second year contract. And as they blossom into a star versus like having to pay the 6-year player at that max salary all-star contract. But point is, I think we need to get someone really good for Doom, because I think when Doom shows up in movies, beyond the actors just being good, we need to put butts in seats. Butts got to be in seats. It's got to be RDJ level. Got to be someone that is super exciting, like Michael Fassbender as Dr. Doom. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be like that type of level. I know he's already done Magneto. Kind of would be the same thing. How do you feel about Ghost Rider character in Marvel Spotlight 5, prop or flop? I think Marvel Spotlight 5 is massive prop. It's props for days, right? Like, again, we've already said it. Wolverine, Punisher, Ghost Rider. Everyone forgets Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. Such a huge character. Such a huge character. And he could be massive. The culture around Ghost Rider could be massive. Think of all the people who love Sons of Anarchy. Think of how big Sons of Anarchy was. We can get all those people on board. Ghost Rider will be their guy, I think they could be huge. Batman, hit the like button. Thank you, Batman. Last time I saw you live stream, you and the wife were having some drinks. Yeah, good times. No drinks tonight. It's Thursday, almost Friday. Get some drinks. Watched your 1 year video ago. You nailed Punisher. Oh, Tom, I did see your comment. I didn't respond yet. I've been lagging on my comments. The key comic video I did for Punisher. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think you mentioned I should revisit it. A lot of people have been asking me to do the key comic spotlight videos again. I probably should bring them back. In truth, guys, I think that they're great. Actually, I think of a series, it's probably my favorite series I've done because I think it provides the best value, in my opinion. Because if I think to myself, I'm someone getting into comics, I like Punisher, I need to go to YouTube. What should I target? I want to start collecting. What are some books? It's like just the easiest way to figure that out. And that was the idea for the series. And for that reason, I like it. That all being said, those videos started to not do so well in terms of click-through rate and like watch time and all that stuff. So, we're getting into like the business side of the YouTube algorithm things. I don't know. People don't want to watch it because if you're not the Punisher, like it's like evergreen stuff, but if you're not the Punisher fan who wants to see it that instant, that day, maybe don't click on it. So I should bring the series back. But I might have to like change the thumbnail or the premise of the video or how the video flows. I don't know. In film, which actor should play Darkhawk? Oh man, I'm not good at this type of stuff. But Darkhawk, Chris Powell, to me, is kind of like, he's like, his characterization is like, he's like Spider-Man in the sense that he has been given these great powers and has to learn how to deal with it while balancing life in high school. Except the difference between him and Spider-Man is that one, I think his characterization is not like the nerd. He's a little cooler. He's got a very, very active social life. But he still has to juggle all these balances. And he has siblings he needs to watch out for. And then he has the complications with his dad being a cop and things like that. So effectively, we need to find a Tom Holland with a little bit more of an edge. Timothy Chalamet. Boom. I just cast Darkhawk. Timothy Chalamet. Lost it. Lost the chat, boys and girls. Lost the chat. Getting back. Okay. The kids didn't care about Iron Man and Captain America when they first arrived in the MCU. Cyclops kind of has the Cap persona in some boys. Yeah. Totally agree with you, Nathan. We're talking about casting. In my opinion, Cyclops and Cap are the same in that they're both leaders. But I think Cyclops has angst, whereas like Cap has like a very pure, like sort of austerity to like his beliefs. I think Cyclops has to battle a lot more pressure and angst and stuff. So it's like, who is the Chris Evans that is like a little bit broken, right? It's like, who's the all-American guy that has a little bit of like a anxiety, behind them? Ryan Gosling. Is that a bad choice? I don't know. Maybe Ryan Gosling's good. It's like all-American Cap, but there's some damage there, Favorite superhero movies? Christopher Reeve, Superman. Honestly, those are amazing. Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man. You're right. I couldn't even think of. There's so many great superhero movies, the older ones. Do you own any Funko Pops? Yeah. Where'd they go? I do. I own like 3. I'm not super into it. Because the U.S. economy is going to take a major downturn, including out of control inflation and recession, my advice is approach cautiously moving forward when buying comic books. Yeah. I think you got to focus, again, you got to focus on what you want. And I would just dollar cost average, right? Like we've all dollar cost average. We don't know when the bottom is. To me, it's like, I always like kind of have like my budget and I kind of look at stuff and I don't go too hard. I'm always keeping tabs of like what I have coming in and out. But, if I see the good deal, And, I wait every couple months, I'll pick up the nice little book for myself. I think that's fine. What's a tough run other than the Avengers Grail? What are you doing a plan on? I want to do a full Walking Dead run. That would be a tough one. It's a tough run for me as a younger collector, since those are early books. Yeah. The Walking Dead is quite expensive. It's hard to find some of those, for sure. I mean, like, it's not, they're out there, but like, it's just hard to like come across them. But I think what people say, FF, ASM, those are the two, like the S tier, the Grail of Grail runs, the hardest ones to collect. But Walking Dead's a really good one. Hopefully you get it. 47, been collecting since I was 7. There was plenty of female characters that held their own, were cool and accepted, super badass. Oh, I think I was a kid, Mystique, Rogue. So, I saw you guys talking a little bit about the wokeness and things like that. We could talk about it. It's fine, but I have opinions, but also, we keep it collecting here. Remember when Wolverine, Punisher, and Ghost Rider all crossed over? Yes, those are the days. Oh, Chris. Oh, baby, Hulk run. Some of the cheapest and best books. Get them before you can. Yeah, the Hulk stuff is so good. The early Hulk stuff. Do you think CGC will be dethroned because of the recent bad practices? I think no. In truth, I think no. Because at the end of the day, it's so hard to right the ship as far as like where the market values their books. There's so much money into CGC books already that I don't know that they can be dethroned. I think they can lose market share. And I think CBCS can start to move in a direction that gets a new customer base for sure. I think the only thing that's stopping CBCS is their labels. If they just change their labels today, new submissions, I could see them getting more. But there's so much money in back issues of CGC graded books that's hard for them to really be dethroned. I feel that modern Star Wars books will go down like crypto, too easy to get 9.8s now. Yeah, I mean, well, I think that there will be characters like long term, like where's all this High Republic stuff going, right? Star Wars, High Republic #1, things like that, adventures. 10 years from now, what would the values of those books be? I actually think that they'll be pretty desired. Doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily be making us rich. We're not going to retire off them. But like if we get a High Republic franchise, Disney starts to turn around, Star Wars turns it around, they start knocking it out of the park, they're crushing it. I think that those books will be desired. I'm attempting an Invaders run in 9.4 and higher. I believe how incredible those covers are. Dude, Invaders is pretty cool for sure. I've always really liked the Invaders because I like Cap, so I'm always down with Invaders. And it feels like those books are doing a 9.4 run feels tough for sure, even with those books being often overlooked. If D+ October special Werewolf Night hits, will other Marvel stories horror spec hits? Will other Marvel? Yeah, yes. The answer is yes. I think that when that show comes out, it'll be really interesting to see what happens in it, where it goes. But yeah, I think all those books, First Living Mummy, First Frankenstein, First Manphibian, things like that. Oh, talk about a magazine book. I would love to get that book that's First Manphibian. You guys know what I'm talking about? The magazine book, Legion of Monsters or something like that. Is it Legion of Monsters? Something of Monsters. That's a magazine book. That cover is so sick to me. All right, Nathan, thank you for coming by, man. Best of luck with the kid. Still going. I see how you read any of the Darth Vader series. I'm reading the first volume right now. Darth Vader series. I actually haven't read the Darth Vader series. I need to read it. Everyone swears by it. And it feels like that's where Disney pulling a lot of stuff from, right? Black Chrysanthemum, Cad Bane. Cad Bane was Darth Vader one. But yeah, all those characters. I need to read it. I need to see if it's on Marvel Unlimited, actually, because I don't own the books. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Any advice on buying collectible insurance when how much seems like covering your books and mail CG? I don't have collectible insurance. And I don't have good advice for you. Maybe someone else in the chat has some thoughts, but I should probably look into that as well. But yeah. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Mads Mikkelsen's Doom would be great. That's what I want. You ever go to Frankenstein swag? Yes, I do go to Frankenstein's. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Mads Mikkelsen would be great, except he's already in the MCU, right? He was in Doctor Strange. Although that didn't stop them from recasting Gemma Chan. But I think that's a little different because she had blue makeup on versus Mads, who it's like we all knew that it was Mads Mikkelsen. Then again, we're in the multiverse, so who really cares, right? In this multiverse and Earth 616 in the MCU, Mads Mikkelsen. Dr. Doom was Mads Mikkelsen. Funnily enough, thought Christian Bale would have been a great Doom. Yeah, Christian Bale could have been a really great Doom as well. The thing about Christian Bale is like, here's my worry for the Gore book. I feel like Christian Bale is doing a lot. And not to say that he wouldn't be into doing more Marvel movies. I'm sure he had a great time, but like, he just seems like the kind of actor that like doesn't want to be chained to the MCU. When looking for a bronze key, where would be the best place to get it in terms of price? A con, LCS, eBay, or whatnot? Well, depends on what level of key. Like if you're talking about like a mega key, like let's say you wanted to get a Hulk 181, I would, and you wanted to get it, what I would do is I would follow the Instagram accounts, like Elite Comics Elite, Instagrails, the other ones I can't think of right now. I would follow those accounts, and those would be, I would just look at them every day, like multiple times a day, because they're always going to post those mega keys. And that would be where I would probably try to get the best deals. And then outside of that, yeah, I would go to con, but like con could be hit or miss because the inventory is the inventory, and whatever the grade is, like maybe it's a grade that's too high for you. So those would be my two. Looking at my next blue chip slab to buy at lower grade, Hulk 181 or FF48. Mike, we are in the same boat. Two books I would love to have for myself as well, Hulk 181 or FF48. I don't know where the prices are with 181. I think that they've corrected. I think they've recently corrected. There's a big price difference here, right? Because I think a 3.0 of like a Hulk 181 is going to cost you like $3,500, and then an FF48 you could get a 3.0 for like $1,500. So there is a price difference here. If I had to focus on one, I think you have more time with FF48. I think Hulk 181 might be a good book to pursue first right now. That's what I think. They got Charlize though. Yeah, they got Charlize though. I mean, look, being cast in the MCU, doesn't matter what level star you are, it's a big deal because you're going to get good money, especially if you're a star player, and you are grandfathered into this. Like this franchise will only stop if they themselves decide to stop it. So you could be Charlize Theron and you can have job security for 20 years being this character. She could be in her, 70s and make a return. And all of us will be, old, taking our grandkids to MCU movies. And we're going to go nuts when Claire returns in Avengers number 17. I lucked out at a local Comic-Con in early 90s, found Hulk 181, first Wolverine for the most random price of $835. Glenn, that's a bannable offense right there. What you said to me right there, that is bannable. No, that's so awesome. That's the best, man. So good. Cam, you'll play Darkhawk? Yeah, you are so edgy. So edgy. Cam, you could do it. You could do a good Dark. You're like a more hardcore Tom Holland. What are your thoughts on MCU Namor? Namor, look, I think Namor's kind of cool, but how cool is he really? How cool is he really, guys? I know, here come the dislikes again. How cool is he really? All of a sudden, because Namor is going to be showing up at Black Panther 2, I feel like everyone in the comic book market, comic collecting market, is like, oh, Namor's been my favorite character. Has he been? Is he? I think he's cool, but like people are going so crazy for Namor. I think he's cool. I know that he says Imperious Rex and that he's supposed to be kind of a jerk. That's what I know about him. And I've read some of his comic books and some of his Submariner run. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it's at. But, you know, we'll see what happens in the movies. Thoughts on the new Darkhawk run? Yeah, I loved it, man. The Kyle Higgins one, I have it. And I was really liking where it was going. I feel like they canceled it or something. Like, I'm not really sure. But yeah, that's solid Darkhawk casting to me. Yeah, Timothy Chalamet, man. I feel like edgy Tom Holland. As someone who works in film and TV, do you ever get insider spec tips ahead of official announcements? No comment. Cyclops has angst because Wolverine kept trying to steal his girl. Mr. Steal your girl. Yeah, for sure. Como Comic Books in the house. Yo, yo, yo. Como Comic Books. What's going on, man? Vader's 9.4 is tough. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. It is Legion of Monster One. I knew you would know the magazines, Drew. It wouldn't be a live stream show if I didn't poo-poo on magazines a little bit, but I will acknowledge that that's a cool magazine. That would be one that I would get. You guys ever see that movie Monster Squad? You guys remember that movie when we were kids? I love that movie. It's probably so bad, but I loved like the Creature from the Black Lagoon and the Mummy, and Frankenstein, and all that stuff. And when I look at that Legion of Monsters cover, it reminds me of Monster Squad. It is Neil Adams. I have CGC 7.0, First Amphibian. Oh, dude, Gorilla. That must look like a beautiful book. Beautiful book. I'm catching up to my own conversation here in the chat here. What's it like to have all that power times ticking? You just count the hours. To have all that power times. Not sure what you mean. All Darth Vader's on Marvel Unlimited. I'm flying through it. It's been great. Yeah, you know what? I should check it out. I actually really do want to read it. And I feel like it'll be a fast read. There you go. Vancouver Comic Junkie agrees. Hulk 181 first. Hulk 181 first. Do you have the first appearance of the Living Tribunal? You know, I've had a few copies of that book and I have sold them all. And I recently sold a graded one in my last claim sale. Because I was wanting to get my Journey into Mystery 85. So I was looking at my inventory. I'm like, what do I want to get? All right, I'm going to let go of this one because like it was a pretty good price. I let it go, sold a good price. I definitely want to buy that book back. Like I'm keeping my eye out for another one. Especially after I got the little bit of the FOMOs myself when I saw Thor: Love and Thunder and we saw him in the trailer. I'm like, dude, this is not an accident anymore. Like, right? Like Easter egg in Loki, Easter egg in Doctor Strange, behind Natalie Portman Thor in Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, we're going to get an epic Living Tribunal scene at some point in the MCU. Maybe Keanu Reeves will be the voice. Namor is cool, but he's not that cool. He's cooler than Aquaman. Totally agree. Sexy Namor, insert Homer drool. Omar, Namor is very cool. I know there's Namor fans. I know. What do you think about the man called Nova #1? I think Nova #1 is a great book, but I've personally never loved the character. I like the character because he's had interactions with Darkhawk, but I never loved the character. So like to me, when I find Nova ones, like if I find them really cheap, like I usually end up selling them because like I know it's not an end game book for me, but I think it's a great book. I think it's a great book for sure. Tips on how to find key issues at LCSs. Well, for me, you got to go to multiple LCSs and then you got to figure out what LCSs have back issues. And then you got to figure out which LCSs price their back issues at good prices. I'm in like the Los Angeles area. So like I'm fortunate. I can go to many, many different LCSs that are near me. So I just kind of do a cycle where I go through all of them. I don't know if this is so much a tip, but I really try to find those LCSs that, like, look, if I go into an LCS and there's a guy working behind the counter that's got, tattoos and looks like he watches Comic Tom and he owns the shop, I'm not shopping at that shop. Reason being, it's a great shop. I'm sure he's great, but it's like those guys are on top of it. They know what the prices of these books are. I'm not going to get any steals in this. I want to go to the shop where there's boxes everywhere and everything is completely underpriced. And there's an old sticker from the 80s that still sits in the book for $5. And that's how the person has priced their book. That's where I want to buy. So you got to find those LCSs. Renamor, he's got great feuds with Rywood. Yeah, that's true. I think it's gonna be great. All right, Fight the Good Fight, man. Peace out. Yeah, I'm gonna probably wrap it up here soon as well. Appreciate you guys hanging out. This was fun. Just going through, hanging out, talking comics. Let's see here. My LCS has a 181 for 3K. It has Hulk written in thin pencil lines within the Hulk letters on the cover. Other than that, it presents well. I think it's worth a buy. I personally don't mind writing on the cover to an extent. I have to see it personally, but I don't mind writing the cover. Do you know what the grade is? Like 3K is expensive, but I mean, it's going to take you 3K to buy any Hulk 181, at least at these current prices. It might be worth it. I personally don't mind writing on the cover like that, but it depends on what it looks like. Considering picking up an Iron Man 1 from an LCS at a 2.0 for 125, but I think it has a coupon clipped. That's a good price, but if the coupon was clipped, I probably would pass. But, look, it's an expensive book. Like, it's going to cost you $400 to find a book anyway. So if you just want to have it, it's an amazing cover. Actually, 125 is a pretty good price, to be honest, even with a coupon clipped. But if you don't like coupons clips, then don't get it. How about a CGI Infinity Gauntlet? True to the comic. Now that Swill, they passed off for a movie. Oh, with a I don't even know what you guys are talking about in the chat sometimes anymore. What's your home LCS? Well, I'm in the LA area. I go to a lot of different shops here. Comic Cellar is a great one. Frankenstein's, I'll go from time to time. What else? Continental Comics. House of Secrets. Those are all good ones. Oh, this is a good tip. Try to hit non-LCSs. Game stores, used comic book shops, thrift shops, card shops. I'm always blown away by what I find in the back corner. Oddly, my half-grade magazines have come to meet me that way. Yeah, that's a great tip as well. Yeah, sometimes you can go into those pawn shops and find really good deals. I haven't been as fortunate, but every now and again, I found a really good deal in one of those shops. Do you think Thor's other sister, Angela, could make an appearance in Love and Thunder? I think it's possible. I think people have speculated on that. I don't feel like in the rumor mill, we've heard a lot about it. I feel like, where there's smoke, there's fire with a lot of these rumors. And like, even with Charlize Theron and Clea, there were like some murmurs about it. I don't feel like the Angela murmurs have been as strong, but you never know. It's totally possible. Comic book collection video game coming soon. Comic book collection video coming soon. Yes. They tend to price books with clippings pretty low. I picked an X-Men 6 for $20 that was missing the pinup. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's good. I think that they should be priced to sell at that point anyways. Any New Mutant spec besides first Cable or first Deadpool? New Mutant spec? There's definitely some New Mutant spec in that early stuff. Like, I can't remember some of the characters. Who's the character? Their name starts with an S. Spot? Not Spot. S something. She's like the first mutant. I think there's an interesting spec character in it. You guys ever know what I'm talking about? Can't remember. I can't remember what's talking about. All right, Drew. Dipping out. All right. I think with that, that's a good time too. I probably should also wrap up. Been going for a couple hours here. Need to get a drink. need to get ready for bed soon. But it was great having this conversation with you all. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight and kicking it, talking about some comic books. Let me see. Let me see what else. Before I see, let's just see. Probably not in blah, blah, blah. First, just checking out last couple comics, blah, blah, blah. All right, guys. Yeah, with that, I'm going to go to bed. Thanks all so much for hanging out. Really great talking to all of you. My insightful advice. I don't know. I got nothing. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys in the next video, next stream. Peace out.